and lots of returning folks and lots of new folks. So we do want to have an opportunity for some quick introductions. But thank you so much for dedicating your time to this process. It is critical that we have feedback from you. You become ambassadors for us to help answer questions in the community. And so this time is valuable. We do want to feed you. There's plenty of great food. And I want to thank our food service for providing that. And absolutely, the person that was going to serve you tonight got ill and she jumped right in. And so I appreciate that so much. But we're going to keep things rolling because we have a lot to cover tonight. We're not going to cover everything. It's super overwhelming, and so when you look at the schedule that you have, you're going to see that we are going to cover the specifics when we're talking about cost, when we're talking about timeline, all of the things that I know are running in your head, especially when you read our article that we put out yesterday about our fast growth. The stuff can't come fast enough. But as you know, from the 21 bond and from the 2024 bond, approving the bond doesn't mean it grows out of the ground the next day. It takes time, whether that's the design phase, whether that's permitting. With all due respect to the city, they have some antiquated processes, and they are having to adjust as we grow in this area to be able to elevate those permitting processes and make them go a little faster. For those of you who haven't been part of our group, Seguin is one of those cities that does not traditionally do overlapping process. Like, well, hey, we got this, so can we skip to this now? So it's in order. And that sometimes really delays the process. So knowing that, we'll be framing our conversations with that, helping to answer any questions, but we're going to cover these items tonight and cover something we thought would really help everyone kind of wrap their head around things, which is touring our current facility and then what our plans are with the current high school when we transition to the junior high. So we have wonderful folks with us today who've been with us throughout the process of our long-range master planning. Some of you have been on the collaborative visioning that we did, believe it or not, 2 years ago. And that's part of our long-range master plan as well. And some of you are brand new to the process. So we want to be able to go around, introduce ourselves, and let everybody know who you are. We'll be getting to know each other through the process. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to pass the microphone around. And yes, we'll start with you, Wayne.
Hi everybody, Wayne Pruski with AGCM Project Management team, part of the facilities group here. Great to be here. I miss y'all.
Hey guys, Rami Castillo, Director of Safety and Operations for the district. Going on 6 years here, happy to be here. Thank you for coming out.
Hi, I too, like Dr. Epley, have never been asked to speak up, so I probably don't need that. But my name is Melissa New. I'm also with AGCM, currently overseeing all the bond projects for Navarro, stationed out at the new high school, but I'm everywhere.
Good evening, my name is Jason Adam. I'm the Fine Arts Director and Head High School Band Director here in Navarro ISD. It's my first year in the district.
I'm Katie Forrester. I'm a parent. I have a first and a second grader. I'm also a local realtor, so all the growth around here is close to what I do every day.
I am Jamie Snyder. I am a parent. I have a kiddo in the high school and the junior high.
Hi, my name is Nikki Loftus. I have a senior at the high school and also a first year at the elementary.
Wow. Everybody, let that sink in. Awesome.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Gray. I work at the intermediate. I have a freshman, a 7th grader, and a 2nd grader. Wow.
Okay, when I first started this, I had children in the district. But they've all graduated and moved on, and I'm at the intermediate. This is my 7th year.
Right.
I think I turned out.
Hi, I'm Shelby Ashley. I don't think it's on, but it's great. I teach fourth grade math and science here at Navarro, and I'm a parent as well, so fourth grader and a kindergartner.
Hi, I'm Jody Koenig. I am a previous employee here, local medical provider, and parent of 3 alumni now.
Hello, Jennifer Duppo. I am a parent and I have a 9th grader and a 7th grader this year.
Hi, I'm Megan Brown. I just graduated one, and I have a junior, and I also am a local realtor, so here to help whatever we need.
I'm Rebecca Beauchard. I am the one of the elementary interventionists. I have a 7th grader, and I just graduated one from Navarro.
Hi, I'm Wendy McMullen, Chief Academic Officer, and I've been a part of this for a long time and love every bit of it. So thank you all for being here tonight. So glad to see so many of you here.
I'm Kristen Green. I'm a parent. I have a 2nd grader, 4th grader, and an 8th grader.
I'm Greg Fuller.
Greg Fuller, there we go.
There you go. I got some kids in the district. I used to be a realtor, so I don't do that anymore. I'm on all my other hats.
I'm Amy Strout. I have 4 kids, 1 graduate of the district, a senior this year, a sophomore, and an 8th grader.
Joel Frederick, 2017 master planning on the way to now. 2 kids that graduated from here, and I'm a board member.
Laurel Wilson, former elementary principal for 6 years, starting as the academic dean for the secondary level this year.
I'm Dan Reinhardt. I'm on the school board also, and I have a 12th grader. And she just got promoted. And my wife works there as well.
Clint Shive, I'm also on the Navarro School Board. My daughter is a 2022 graduate, and my wife is a former employee of 15 years.
Kevin Harbuth, I'm the old timer here. I'm a 1977 graduate of Navarro.
Steve Sheeman, 1987 graduate.
Hi, I'm Amy Dahlke. I am in my 20th year here at Navarro. I started in 1997, left for a short time. I'm back. I teach at Navarro Junior High math, and I'm the head varsity cheerleading coach.
Amanda St. John. I have a junior and an 8th grader, and I'm a 7th grade math teacher.
Hi, I'm Clifford King. I'm one of the assistant principals here at the junior high. This is my 3rd year here and loving it.
I am Haley Herzog. This is my 5th year here. I'm a teacher and a coach at the junior high, and I have a kindergartner and a 2nd grader.
I'm Cheryl Schriever. I'm one of the APs at the junior high. This is my 1st year.
Hi, I'm Tori Burkhoffel. I'm the principal at the junior high, and I'm excited to start my 2nd year with this team.
Hello, I'm Corey Baker. This is my 1st year here, and I have 2 freshmen as well. Oh, I'm sorry. I teach 8th grade U.S. history.
Hi, I'm Libby Hollinger, 7th grade English. This is my 1st year in Navarro, and I hope to have a kindergartner joining next year. Yay!
Hi, I'm Aaliyah Petmicki. I am the junior high theater teacher, and I've been with Navarro, the district, for this is going to be my 9th year. Woo.
Amy Hartman, parent. I have a freshman and a junior.
Daniel Loera, I'm a 1996 graduate. I do have a junior and a freshman, 2 juniors and a freshman. So, I know.
Hi, Claudia Loetta, his wife. 2 juniors and a freshman, and we have 3 that have graduated.
I'm sure your wallet doesn't forget that.
Christy Weller, I'm one of the high school ag teachers, and this is my 14th year here at Navarro.
Awesome. And I know we got some folks in the back, so I'll walk this back there, y'all. There you go.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Danny Cornejo. I'm here with Latina O'Connell Robertson. I'm the principal at the firm and oversee our client relations and part of our bond planning and communications team. Yeah.
Good afternoon,
everyone. My name is Diana Bravo. I'm an architect and an education practice leader for our San Antonio office. I lead the projects that we currently have with the district.
Good evening, Susan Kincannon, recovering superintendent. And I am working with O'Connell Robertson this year part-time.
Hi everybody, I'm Chris Narendorf. I'm a principal with O'Connell Robertson, director of our office here in San Antonio. I'm really excited to be here, kind of hear all the feedback from the committee, and we've seen your demographics and y'all have a road ahead of you, so we're excited to learn more.
Brittany Johnson, Director of Transportation.
And I am Chelsea Lorman. I'm Director of Communications.
And Chelsea does a fantastic job, as everyone who works for the district does here, but you get to see a lot of her product in your handout. So I do want to thank her for helping to articulate what we share out with you and that great communication. So we're going to start just a little bit with the history of this committee for those of you who are new. We have a long-standing history of planning in this district. There are some people on this committee, as Joel mentioned, who have been on it for many years. And we're part of building that 2021 bond and working through the escalation issues that we had, historic escalation issues, which meant that that elementary that passed, those funds had to be utilized to finish the high school, and that's why we came back out in 2024 after the athletics didn't pass and we needed an elementary, and we're able to get that, as well as some refresh projects, and we'll talk a little bit about those. But the purpose really is to get that feedback from you. As we talk through those needs, we have to be able to understand what the appetite of the community is. When I got here 2 years ago, I heard a lot of, please make the growth stop. Make it stop, right? Please tell the city we don't want any more development. And I hear that. I appreciate that, but I think this committee has done a great job of helping our community understand we don't control that. We would love to shut the door and say, we're full, put the no vacancy sign out and be done. That's not how it works. And you can't put your head in the sand because it keeps coming, and the growth will keep coming. And some of the conversations we've had as we've looked for land is, I'm not selling right now, but as soon as my mom or my dad pass away and we have the step up in basis, we will be selling our land to a developer. So we know that even if the land is off the market now, there are several folks who have communicated they will be selling. So we have to be prepared that if that sells, that becomes housing that comes with kids. And we will always be here for our kids. And so where we put them, the services we're able to provide them, that's the planning that you're helping with today. We also set some very concrete goals of this committee. And so those are there for you to read and look through. So if you're like, whoa, this isn't what I thought this was, now's the time to take some more free dinner and you can leave. But I know sometimes we get voluntold, like, hey, this would be a really great committee for you to be on. You think it's something that it isn't, right? So, yes. But we are very grateful that you're here and that you're going to work with us on these goals. So our folks who have been a part of this committee have a good awareness of this plan. And this is the plan that we did as we researched our current facilities and we talked through the plan that we have now. Part of creating this plan was knowing that each year we were going to have to review that plan because demographic projections are just that. Sometimes you'll have something stall out. Economy can sometimes create a slow in what's projected. I will say even in 2008, 2009, when the nation as a whole saw slowdowns, Texas grew. Texas grew particularly in the Hill Country area. So even with economic slowdown, we do anticipate that we will still see some level of growth. In the case of what we saw at the opening of this year, we've already achieved peak projection and gone beyond it. And it's, 6 days school. So knowing that, that's why we annually review this plan. For those of you who haven't seen it, it is on our website, and there's a QR code to the full plan, and it walks through our evaluation of all of our facilities. A huge part of really working as a team and talking through what we need to do as a community in this district is understanding how we preserve the investment we've already made. There are people that came before us that made plans in buildings, that made plans in how the layout of the buildings is. I find it frustrating sometimes when I'm meeting with Commissioner Judge, and they say things like, well, somebody came out and said, it's the school's fault that Lincoln 123 are that way. They shouldn't have built all those schools right there, right? And when I hear that someone said that. I understand that. But what I need you to also understand is this is the layout and the plan of almost every small district in Texas. And it's very economical because I can take a teacher who's going to teach 2 classes at the junior high, and then they can walk across in 5 minutes and teach some more classes at the high school. And that's a huge benefit to a small district when we're trying to keep costs down, right? But as you grow, having every school at the same intersection with a city and county that own a road, that struggle very much to take ownership of that road, and want to make us the owners of that road, it's hard because the growth is coming, and that's still a 2-lane road. And up until me coming here and saying, hey, I have a mama who went on Google Maps and told everyone there's 3 lanes because you guys haven't striped it, and we had a kid get T-boned on like the 3rd day because somebody told people there's a 3rd lane, and they came out and striped it to show there's only 2. It's very difficult to start talking through what does that look like infrastructure-wise from a collaboration with city, with county, and then what the district is going to do. So I feel like we've made great strides in that direction, but a big part of it was, let's analyze what we have. We can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We don't have the bonding capacity to do that. Our main revenue comes from rooftops. As I'm sure many of you know, you have to drive a little ways for some amenities. And that's okay. We like where we live. But the city has designed a wonderful master plan to be the manufacturing hub of Texas and designed this area to be where everyone lives and lays their head at night. And that's wonderful unless you're trying to get consistent revenue that will give us bonding capacity. Good news, cautionary news. The northern section of our district is not developed out fully yet. There are 3 potential data centers who are looking at the northern area of our district. That is a great thing for us to get industry-based revenue that would build bonding capacity and not affect taxpayer taxation. The issue right now in the special session is that there are legislators who are saying we need to block data centers because they use too much water. So I would say watch that. And if you have an opinion about it, make sure you're communicating that. So ERCOT has put a hold on all data centers until this is worked out. But when I look at 500 acres that could be single family, small homes, or be a data center that employs about 7 people, which means they're not gonna bring a whole lot of kids, but they're gonna bring a whole lot of revenue, I'm looking to the data center and really hoping that the data center goes through. So a couple of things for us to talk through as we look at this long-range plan. As you know, we passed the 2024 bond. Very grateful for our taxpayers who really got behind the growth and reinvestment, the new athletic stadium, the new baseball and softball turf fields, tennis courts, restrooms and concessions, and the refresh that we're doing to those reinvestment projects. This committee was a big part of helping to decide what would be recommended to the board. And so you'll continue to serve in that role and that capacity. So I definitely want to talk through that with you. So you can see here, this is our district map. And the plan for the future is this. In our current rock, is what I like to say, on our rock here, we have the high school, we have the junior high, we have the elementary school, and we have the intermediate. What we're looking to do, as of January, substantial completion in November, occupancy shortly after, and getting everybody moved over before the Christmas break. That's our goal, so all our teachers can go enjoy the Christmas break. But come back for the students in January, and County Commissioner said, you're not gonna do that weird thing, we're gonna move them in January, right? And I was like, look, somebody promised these kids they would be in that school. It wasn't me, but I'm gonna own it, and we're gonna get them there. And so we are getting them there. And I'll tell you, the benefit of it is that most people do move into a new facility in August. And so getting movers is a challenge. They up-price you because everybody's jockeying to move to a new campus. We don't have that. They were like, nobody moves over Christmas break. We got lots of time to move you. So that's the plus side of it, and we'll get in there and it'll be great. So we're gonna move over to the new high school, which is off of 123 in Timmerman. They're putting in the light. You'll see that anytime we develop a school, it is required that we develop the land. So people are like, you have to widen Timmerman? You have to put turn lanes on Timmerman? You have to pay for that? Yes. Believe me, AGCM is being a great partner with me in speaking with the city about we are not a traditional developer, and trying to help explain we should have some level of dispensation. Let's come up with an MOU for K-12 entities. And I'm not just talking about Navarro, I'm talking about Seguin. I want everybody that cannot make profit. It's great that you say, hey, developer that's dropping 1,400 homes, you need to widen this street and put a light. Because they're gonna say, all right, and then upcharge for that house to cover the cost. I have no way of recouping that money back. And they tell you, well, you're a developer because you're developing the land. I'm not that kind of developer. And so we are doing our best to try to create a relationship where the permitting process, the development process takes into consideration that we are a school district. We are not going to be able to charge our families to pay for the improvements that they typically pass on to a developer. Behind that, you see what passed in 2024, which is the high school athletics facilities. We are moving as fast as we can. For those of you who have seen the drone footage, if you've seen our updates, please, we have such an amazing person in Chelsea. Our team does a great job of trying to communicate, and so it is very frustrating when I see someone on Facebook go, I guess we're not building anything because I haven't seen anything. There's a whole field of flowers over where the elementary is supposed to be, so I guess there's not going to be an elementary. Yeah. This goes out after every board meeting. And our board is updated, we update the community. Again, you don't snap your fingers and a school gets built. I wish it was like I Dream of Jeannie. I visualize the perfect elementary, boom. If I could do that with the pick up and drop off lines, that would be awesome too. But it doesn't work that way, so we do update, folks. And there is a lengthy design permitting process. Also, because we are a developing area, the city will say, well, there's a developer that's interested in the property next door, so we want to see what it'll be like if maybe you cover this part of the sewer line, and they could maybe pick up this part of the line. But they're not going to be ready to develop until here. So if y'all could just hold until, no, I can't hold. We got kids coming, let's go. So those are the conversations we have behind the scenes. But we believe in transparency. I want anyone that has a question to come talk to us. So I want you to know the answer so you can help be an advocate. But if somebody has a question, please tell them to give me a call. Facebook cannot answer your question. That's one thing I am certain about. I can, so call me. So we see that baseball and softball conservatively will be finished in April. So we will do the seasons over here. We have a plan to bring to the board to refresh the baseball field, similarly to what we did when I first got here with softball field. So the drought does a number on our fields, and it's out of lifespan. So we're gonna work on that, because remember, we're gonna ultimately use that for all kinds of tournaments, as well as our junior high program that will start once we kick off everything in the new facility. So April, those two facilities will be available, and we've worked with the city and AGCM to make sure that even though the rest of the project is under construction, our kids and our fans will still get to be at the softball and the baseball field. Because that was my first concern, is they're gonna say it's a construction site, we're not gonna get on it. It's gonna be this big tease that you have this gorgeous field and you can't get on it. So April for that, and then we're looking at September for athletics when we're talking about football. So we'll likely start here and then go over. We have worked with transportation to have 5 buses at the high school. So they will already be ready to pick kids up, bring them over here until everything is finished with the athletics facility. So when we do all of that in 2027, we get our Navarro Elementary South on East Martindale complete. It's ready to go. This is a 2-5 elementary. You say, why 2-5? This committee right here. So we had long conversations about how do we preserve the intermediate facility. Do we do a comprehensive elementary? Do we do pre-K through 5? What does that look like demographics-wise? What does that look like? They said, that's too big. That's not what we want. So we broke it down and said, okay, let's do 2-5. Let's do 2-5 at the intermediate, which will now be referred to as Navarro Elementary. And then let's make our current elementary, which is perfect for littles. Little bathrooms, little sinks, you know. You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. How do we use what we currently have? And so that will transition to our early childhood center for pre-K1. The concept is everyone in Navarro starts at the same place and ends at the same place. And we will do that as long as we can. But the growth will continue to come, and we will likely have to either talk later about another early childhood center or talk about maybe transitioning to some comprehensive. Because we're moving the high school over, the junior high, which if you have not, you're not from here, you don't maybe realize how old they are. If you're teaching them, you absolutely know. And you absolutely know because there are no bathrooms. The teachers, poor teachers, they have no place to go to the bathroom. So, but it is really fascinating. Got a great book that I read about. This is actually going to be, I think, the 5th Navarro High School that has existed. Some of them look like little houses that were built early in the 40s and were torn down to build an actual house for somebody to live in using the same materials. Fascinating. But you can see there is a picture of when these were first built without this intersection where my office is now. And you can see straight through to our, what is now, everyone walks through and goes, this is super cool vintage, you know, gym, right? Which would cost us a fortune to redo, by the way. It's not insulated, it's not to code, so it would cost a ton of money to redo. People sometimes refer to it as the asbestos gym. The asbestos is contained to a particular closet nobody enters, just so you know. And it is mapped out and people know about it, but it's not the whole gym. And actually, I will tell you, Coach Hill says he loves it. When it was raining the other day, and yes, that is a lightning warning, so for the tennis players, everybody, including the guests, have been moved to the high school. But he brought in all the boys and they did drills in there, and he was like, this is fantastic space. I know our winter guard practices in there. The ceilings are perfect for them to throw their flags and not leave big dents in the ceiling. And so it's a great space for that. So we'll move the junior high to what is now the high school. I'm going to talk to you. In the rankings for new homes, we've moved to number 8. I know some of you have seen the press about Marion ISD. They called their bond for a November election for $60 million. They are also growing. You see them down there at 15. But Navarro's up here at number 8. You are seeing vast amounts of vacant developed lots. That's your VDLs. What that means is, that's dramatic. Thank you, Robbie. There you go. So, yes, if that helps to drop the lights, please do. I think I should sing now. All right, so what you can see with vacant developed lots is that it means it is ready to go for a house. It is plumbed, it has water, has electricity, ready to go. Okay? So when you look at that, you can see 1,290 vacant developed lots ready to go. Finished inventory, 457 homes ready to go. This whole summer, as I was driving in on 758 and watching Navarro Ranch just continue to add. And my big joke all summer was, how many Navarro Ranch homes can get built before one Valero can be finished? If you know that intersection, you know what I'm talking about. It's still not open, and I think they built 32 homes. So, but the annual closings are 834 homes, and then future lots, these are not developed yet, but are waiting to be developed, 5,803. Okay, so a bit of growth coming. All right. So here is our housing overview. We have 17 actively building subdivisions and 11 future subdivisions. So when you look at this, the yellow is all the future subdivisions coming in. The green is your active subdivisions actively building right now. And then the red outlines mean groundwork is already underway. Okay, so you can see the stars are where we are right now. That's our rock. Down here in the southern part of our district, close to the Seguin border, is where we're seeing most of the growth at this time. That is why we selected to put elementary, number 2, or elementary south, in the southern portion of the district to address that growth. Okay, so here's something that will move quickly and something that affects our enrollment dramatically. Speaking with the junior high, some of their most intense growth came from apartment dwelling families. So when I started 14 years ago in Comal ISD, there were 7 apartment complexes in 589 square miles. They have far surpassed over 30 apartment complexes now, okay? And they can house a ton of kiddos. So we have future apartment complexes marked, and you'll see that 500 apartment units had been completed in the last 6 months back in April. And you can pass those as you come in from the Seguin side and see. And so families can afford it. It's affordable housing for them to move in. And I hate that term because I can tell you right now, when I was just starting out, I could never have afforded a $250,000 home. But that is affordable housing now. So same thing when you're looking at apartments. You're also looking at the ability for families that are renting, whether it is one of these homes or an apartment, to have multiple families living within the same location. And that's also bringing us additional students. All right, so let's talk about the 10-year forecast. So you can see here, the yellow is where we were last year. At the end of the school year, at the elementary, we have already surpassed the projection for this year. So you can see in 25-26 what the projections are for each grade level. And again, 29-49 being the total, as we published yesterday, we were at 3,033 students. 5 days into the school year. Peak is usually between November and February. Okay, so they're gonna keep going. And that's where you have to kind of take a breath and realize, and this is conservative. When we went out for 2024, some of you may remember that they had projected in 34, 35, we would be at 6,000 students. So Zonda backed off a little bit, said, there's some economy things, we just want to be conservative, we're going to take it back to 5,519. Okay? So that may also account for the fact that we are actually hitting closer to what looks like the 6,000. So keep that in mind. So here's where it gets interesting. As we grow, the homes that are attracting families are young family homes. So we're seeing most of the growth come from our intermediate and elementary grade kiddos. But those kids get older, okay? And they have to have some place to go to. So what we are looking at as we progress across is exponential growth in that by the time we get to 2034, 35 at the junior high, we are now at 1,419 students. So, we're going to talk a little bit about building usage. I'm going to be very transparent with you. I do not like this word capacity. Okay? There's a reason I don't. In the times that I have tried to talk to community members about bonds, that word sometimes really confuses folks. And they say, well, is it functional capacity? Or is it how many kids you can fit in a room? And then they start to talk about spaces like this space, right? So this is a cafeteria. It's used as a cafeteria. It's also used after school. Our dance team practices here. Various activities happen in this space. But you can easily have someone from the community say, well, they could have classrooms in there all day. Now there's more capacity. Same thing with the band hall. Same thing with the gym. Okay? So I don't like that word capacity because I think sometimes it betrays what I know this community wants for their kids, which is as small a class size as can be and appropriate spaces for learning. I don't know that it's necessarily appropriate to have a math class in a gymnasium, okay? Certainly kids can learn there, it's a space, but could they learn better in a closed space with 24 kids, 26 kids learning math instead of an open space? So I want you to look at this page called Future Utilization. Okay, future junior high utilization. All right, and I say utilization because we can use the buildings any way we need to, and we will, because we need to be fiscally responsible with our spaces. But one thing I absolutely want to talk through is how this ultimately affects how we use the spaces and how we're going to preserve some of our older spaces and then try to modernize our space to address some concerns. Right now, many of my junior high parents are concerned about the layout of the junior high and the fact that students have to cross outside to transfer to different buildings rather than staying in a more internalized building space. So we'll talk through that. The last thing I'm going to talk about demographics before we talk about this sheet is just showing that enrollment forecast and recapping what we just talked about. So when you look at this future junior high utilization, what we've tried to do here, and if it's confusing or if you feel like we need more information, I want you to tell me that. That's a big part of what you guys do for us, is you say, that's too confusing, or that doesn't sound right, or your numbers don't add up. because you are those folks that are gonna help us communicate your recommendation out to the whole community. So, what you look at when you look at this sheet is you look at how the current high school is utilizing that building and the annex building. So for those of you who aren't familiar, just on the other side of the event center is what we refer to as the annex. That building is housing our child nutrition and some of our equipment for technology. It also hosts some of our specialists in special education, some of our academic staff, but it has specific classrooms like our CTE classes related to the health industry, some of our history classes for high school. So it handles the overflow that we need. So if you look at that, as of today, there are 795 kids enrolled in the high school. The capacity, and like I said, I hate that word, but what's on paper of capacity of that building, that main high school building, is 650. We know obviously we're well over that, and we're using the annex as well. So there are 38 main building spaces that you can see include our specialized rooms that you typically would only use for those things. And then our flexible special education spaces that need to have sinks, that need to have special apparatuses in them. So you couldn't go put a math class in there. There's not enough space. There's special equipment. And then we're using 11 outside rooms, including the annex and 2 classrooms over in our ag building. So total capacity is 925 with those buildings spread out the way they are. Also a concern of our families that kids have to walk so far to get to different classroom spaces. The cafeteria over there has a maximum capacity of 246. He is serving 3 lunches at 260 kids apiece. You're like, what? How can they be doing that? They don't all eat at cafeteria tables. Some of them go outside in the courtyard, some like to gather on the steps and eat with their friends. So that is how we're able to serve more than what the actual seats hold. When we moved the junior high over, and I think this was a real shock for some of our community members when we met to plan the 2024 bond. They were like, well, we're gonna move our junior high to the high school, we're gonna have plenty of room. When we move over, we're at capacity. So what we did was break it out. We can no longer use the annex. The annex, in order to address the growth of the elementary, which will be the early childhood, needs those annex spaces. Part of the refresh we will be doing there is creating a first grade learning library, a first grade cafeteria, and moving those first graders to that side of the annex. So no longer can the junior high use those classrooms. However, part of the junior high refresh is utilizing the 4 portables, the 500 wing, which most of you know as the library and science classrooms, even though the plaque on the door says technology. So some people say it's the technology building. Part of the refresh is we don't need a library. We have a library in the building. So we're taking the space that's the library and we're converting that to 2 classrooms. We're also putting a teacher bathroom in there. Woo! I know my junior high teachers are happy about that. And then we will utilize the 100 wing, which is this first old building of the junior high that we will be refreshing, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So ultimately, as of today, there are 694 kiddos at the junior high. Our peak enrollment projection for the 26-27 school year, which will be their first year in the building, is 754. I'm gonna go ahead and take a leap here and tell you they're gonna surpass that number. Okay, and I anticipate that'll be updated in our October numbers. But yeah, by May. But you're gonna see again, we echo what they have with the main building. We gain 6 classrooms from the 500 wing, 6 from the 400 wing, and 4 in the portables that stay. And so ultimately, we have a capacity of 1,050. What did I tell you we were gonna reach though? Yeah. So that's part of the conversation. So when we look at this, currently right now in this old junior high cafeteria, they can fit about 216. So when you look at this, we're potentially needing to use this cafeteria as well as the cafeteria in the building to serve just 3 lunches. You can go to 4, you can go to 5. Kids start eating at 9:30, 10 o'clock. Nobody wants to do that. Okay. So, ultimately, we wanted to show you that in the 10 years, yes, if we stick with just the plan we have now, we're 369 kids over. And when you look at that, that's approximately, if we do 25 kids in a classroom, that's 15 additional classrooms that would be needed. What we're proposing is 20. And the reason for that is we want to be able to have some flex space. When we grow all kids. So we will have additional special education needs. We'll have additional learning disability needs. We'll have additional CTE needs as we grow our CTE programs at the junior high level. So we want to make sure we have the facilities to do that. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what that will look like as well. Also, the operational capacity to do a lunch here, do 3 lunches here and 3 lunches there, means I have to have double the staff. So what does that look like if we're able to expand the cafeteria over there? And so that's part of the conversation as well. It's not the only need. If you look at our long-range plan, you'll also see that like everything else, the infrastructure will ultimately wear out. We do our best, and I know Robbie and his team do an amazing job to maintain our facilities, but HVAC wears out. We're replacing the HVAC before the junior high moves in at the high school. That was part of our bond project. We're going to need to replace the HVAC at what is currently the elementary, as well as that annex facility. So that'll also be in our conversation. So questions so far? Just like, it's a lot. I know.
Will there still be a weight room at the junior high?
Yes. So our plan right now is to move the weight room out of the annex to give that space to early childhood. Over in the event center, there is a space now that dance utilizes for all of their costumes, and it connects directly to the field. It has overhead doors on either side. We would pull out all of that shelving and storage, put in the rubberized mat, look at air conditioning, and move over that equipment so they're ready to go. We've actually already started talking about it because we will need, our summer conditioning program exploded this summer. So we're going to need the weight room over there as well as over here this summer. And so we're talking about what is the timing to make sure there's no downtime with both weight rooms. So we are talking through that as well. Good question. Okay. So there's this awesome project that we're doing to make it truly a junior high and really make our junior high students feel welcome in the new space and give them some ownership. The first thing you can tell is it can't say Navarro High School. So we have plans to make sure that the history and the ownership that these buildings hold, specifically those wonderful art projects that they make every year with the tile, that those transfer over. And so as they walk the halls, they're gonna see that history of each class that developed their tile project. That'll be a huge focus feature for us. As well as, they've indulged me, the marquee that is too dangerous to get up on and put anything on from the junior high. But we will be taking that top piece off, and there's a place as we tour today, we can show you where we're gonna put it. It's just a historical reference to the past of what the junior high has been, and some ownership and some new to what we're creating in the new facility. So, let me walk you through that upgrade real quick before we take the tour. So, you can see the scope of work here. We'll be replacing all of the flooring in the particular areas that you'll see marked out, and we'll talk through that as we walk through. We'll be giving a new, fresh wall paint and patching and repairing any damage that is there. We will be replacing some of the ceiling tiles and grids so that it looks fresh and is clean and ready to go. But there's no MP updates in building 400 and 500. Okay? We're also going to be doing some fencing to block off from our existing buildings and keep everyone contained down in this area. So a big part of that is what we do with those existing facilities. That's the first thing people say to me, well, what's going to happen in those facilities? So in utilizing these facilities, we're able to move our disjointed central office support, which is all over the place, into those buildings, as well as have a permanent location for our discipline center, which will now be off-site from the campuses, and they will be sent to that particular building. We'll be able to move our transportation from where it exists now over to the ag building, as well as maintenance over there. We will maintain the gym, and it will be able to be used as needed for various practices whenever it is necessary. Okay. So you can see here, our library conversion goes to 2 classrooms instead of the open library that we have now. Staff restroom is built in, and we elongated the hall. Right now, you enter the MDF room for our server through the library. We didn't want that. Poor person has to teach in that room. See technology running there anytime they needed to. So we're extending the hallway, and there's an entrance point there next to the new staff restroom. And as we go through the existing high school, you're going to see where in the second floor and the main floor, you're going to see some flooring replacement. You're going to see paint finish change. You're going to see a secure vestibule. And then you're going to see some main corridor high bay lighting change. So a lot of what is there, I like to refer to as the Ralph Lauren era. And those of you that are adults, we know this era well. It was very popular for a while to have maroon and navy and forest green. And we were all living the American Ralph Lauren dream with our polo ponies, right? And that's really the kind of palette. And it's not that a school has to be its school colors. You know, everything doesn't have to scream purple and gold, but that is such a dark palette that it really brings down kind of the mood of the building. And we have such gorgeous open windows, but you lose so much of that brightness and that light and that energy that the building should have because of those dark colors. And so I'm not going to steal their thunder. They're going to share with you how they're refreshing. And yes, there will be purple. So, but we will refresh, and I think it's going to be an exciting space for our students. So ultimately, these are the proposed finishes, and feel free to come up and share with the group if you would like, because this is y'all's bailiwick. But we have met as a team. Tori has been part of the conversations. These are inspiration pictures, but you can see it's kind of a similar corridor and what it looks like when we brighten that corridor. And we do some clever things with banners to really brand the space. And then we bring in some neutral colors. I like to say that the building has to exist for 50 years and beyond. So anything we can do to make it a neutral space, and the students' work, the students' murals, the students' art projects, those banners that they put up themselves to root for our team that's going to compete. That is what brings it to the era that we're in now. And so I'll let you talk a little bit about those design choices.
Thank you, Dr. Rapley. You covered a lot of what the scope of the project would be. We'll have an opportunity to tour the school here shortly and point out some of the scopes. We'll make sure also on your way out you pick up
a PDF or printed copy of some of the items that we'll take a look. It has some of our inspiration pictures as we were going through this process. But in general, the objective was we want to give an opportunity for the transformation of the high school and have an opportunity to create a new space for the students. So when we met, the goal was refresh, rebrand, give an opportunity for them to come into a space like you mentioned, not the old era. This is a new era of that school and be able to line in some of those spaces. So we really focus on creating a lot of lighter tones, neutrals to be able to support that, and really focus on the rebranding component. And that's where we're focusing most of our graphical efforts and the rebranding opportunities, as well as preserving the history was also another topic that was discussed. That's why it was mentioned the marquee incorporated, making sure that you preserve some of the artwork that we know is done every year by the students and have a place for all of that. So even though it's the same building, we want to line it up. We want to have an opportunity for everything to look refreshed and rebrand to serve these new students in this new era. I think the scope in general was covered very well by Dr. Epley. I'm here to answer any questions and answer more questions once we walk on the tour.
They're also very responsible with budget. And I appreciate that. We use architects that we know are going to respect our budget. We're not here to go crazy Taj Mahal and have to go back to our taxpayers and say, hey, we underestimated, we need some more money. We are making smart investments with our taxpayer funds that are going to last a long time, that are meant to be clean, neutral spaces that will stand the test of time. So we're excited about that. And we're going to take a walking tour so you can actually see it and experience it and ask questions. So if you need some more water, it's in the back. We're going to quickly get you inside the building so you don't have to be outside for too long. And we're going to tour the space. Responsible, as I've said before. So Melissa was just reminding me that we are going to be saving our Panther Lair sign. And even though it's refreshing, and leaving the junior high, I spoke with our high school drama teacher, and we are going to be rebranding our new black box theater in the high school as the Panther Lair. So it will receive those letters. So we like to keep the history going and recycling. So I'm going to turn it over to our friends from O'Connell Robertson for their last activity and any questions you have. Anytime you have a question, whether it's at the end and you want to leave that with us, we will address it at the next meeting. If you want to call, if you want to email me, if you get home and you start talking to your loved ones and you have a bunch more questions that come out of that, please send those to me so that we can use the time between this meeting and the next to get those answered for you so that we're able to put together an FAQ, and that will help us communicate as we move forward in the process.
So, yes, we want to definitely take questions. If you have some questions or thoughts around what you've just toured or kind of what you've heard around the room, be happy to support those questions. But what we really like for you all to participate with us on is a little activity that we want to do as we start to think about options and how to utilize us moving into the junior high, into the existing high school. We wanted to get a few questions answered from you all as a committee. And if you look at the paper, there's 3 questions here. We call it our plus delta star exercise. Within this exercise, we want to ask each of you to write down, and we have pens as well. If you need something to write with, we have some pens, please raise your hand. We have those as well. But in the plus sign, we're asking you all to describe an item on the campus that you feel is working well, that can transition into the new junior high, or something that you want to preserve, something that you know that you want to preserve. It can be anything. It can be corridors, big, huge corridors. We love those things. It can be legacy. You want that to be preserved as well. So as you're thinking about your plus, think about what is that item and describe it to us. When we talk about the delta, we want to talk about an item that we hope to continue to build upon. As we're thinking about future expansion, growing this into this new area, talk to me or mention something that you hope that we continue to improve upon. It can be, I heard, what about drop-off lanes, right? We're moving from high school to middle school. What is that going to look like? Is the site going to be different? How are we going to address those items? So think about one item that you can describe in there and tell us a little bit about that. And lastly is the star. And in a single word or phrase, we would love for y'all to describe what is your highest hope as we go through this process, ultimately landing on a recommendation to the board and a future opportunity for a future project. What is that highest hope? What would you go back and look at and say, we hope we accomplish this? It can be, anything from accommodating up to a certain number of students, as you saw the 10-year projection. It can talk about, we hope that people in the community feel that this is a part of their campus as well. It could be anything that you hope to have, and it's one of your highest hopes. So we'll take a moment to kind of answer through those. Please feel free to just leave them on the table when you're done with them, but we also want to take any questions that you may have, or if you have questions around the activity itself, we'd love to answer those too. Anybody have any questions or thoughts as we walked around the tour or talked about the refresh project that's currently happening? I know we're in school, but we don't have to be quiet during this test, I swear.
Is there any rebranding or anything going on in the gymnasium, either the event center or the main gym, or the high school gym?
The current high school.
Current high school gym. Is there any changes going on in those? Like making all the campus or any of that stuff?
I don't think that when we toured it, there was anything that stuck out as being very specific to a high school. So we definitely walked it again, but I don't remember seeing anything that we would have to refresh to brand it for the junior high.
And I think you think like you're going from a competition high school gymnasium to a.
Well, we'd like to have more competition space. The more we can have, the better. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just a matter of just refresh it. You stand in there, it's an old building.
It is.
Like I said, you have that many different Panther heads.
Yeah.
It's odd looking.
It is.
So I didn't know if that was, I didn't see it in anything.
No, as of now, no, but that's a great point. And so,
You're gonna stand in our new gym and you're like, wow. For people that haven't seen it, it's wow.
it is wow.
And then, you're gonna go into that and go, wow.
Well, the event center, the new gym floor is very similar to the event center floor. If you'll remember, we did refresh that floor just the end of my first year here, so it is a new floor.
I don't know about the ceiling tiles in there. I know we had some roof leaks over the years. I don't know if that's all been taken care of. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
That's a good thing.
Just to clean up and, make it more money.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely take that into
It's
consideration.
a good thing for us to walk through and review again.
I think also, like you said, we are consistently hosting so many competitions. And like every time we've had a volleyball tournament or a basketball tournament, we have not just kept it. And we host some of the biggest ones in the whole entire area. We don't just keep it to these two campuses. We're using the intermediate. So it could be that when we're using those facilities, we're having to branch out and come over and use these facilities as well. Because I know when we travel, we'll have, one group at the junior high, one at this high school, and one at this school.
Yeah.
So I think, like you said, these would probably still be used for high school events as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Question. So I heard a lot about cosmetic updates at high school. Curious about heightened security. So I heard the security in the admin office. I heard fencing around. Are there any other considerations that are going in to kind of help the security, knowing that that's been a key focus over the last year or two, especially?
Those are the big two, is the secure vestibule that won't allow anyone in. Right now, they're just using the office as the secure vestibule. This actually allows for them not to be able to go back behind the office, back through the building. So that secure vestibule, and then, yes, the 8-foot fencing that would cordon these areas off and try to keep us more contained than we are right now, but nothing beyond that. If you're really interested in the safety security aspect of things, I would encourage anyone who wants to join our safety and security committee. We focus a lot on what options there are. When you meet in that committee, like when I first got here, we talked about, do we lock the whole thing down and have a guard shack and you don't come through until you've been cleared by the guard, and that was voted down. We've talked about metal detectors, we've talked about clear backpacks, we've talked about those types of things, and that's the committee that I think we focus on that. But as far as this particular project and what's been budgeted in the scope, it is that secure vestibule and then that fencing that will keep everybody contained. Great question.
Y'all may already be addressing this or taking this aspect of things, but have we thought about establishing a committee to go to some of the local landowners and farmers who have farmed these lands for years and years and who are all Panther and Navarro, to discuss with them establishing that if they're gonna sell their land, that they sell it as commercial property only and not to develop houses?
I like the way you think. I have not personally done that. I have certainly talked to folks about donating land to us, and we definitely have had that support from the Bartoskowitz Foundation. But absolutely, if we can look at, those of you that have relationships, people, longtime people, I'm happy to go with you and talk through that. So yeah, absolutely. Because we definitely need amenities and commercial.
I'm going to kind of suggest that we maybe get together and do that, because I think some of the families would appreciate being approached. And if the old timers who are still farming can go to their children and say, you will break my heart if you do this, and here's my wishes, and I'm going to put them in writing. Then moving forward, maybe we can keep out some of the housing growth and establish a little bit more of a commercial growth so that we have a little bit better tax base as well.
Nice, I appreciate that. That's a good thought, good communication with our landowners. Awesome. Anybody else have some thoughts or questions? And as we get into, when you look at the schedule, and our next meeting is September 17th, when you look at the schedule, you'll see when we're going to start talking about some of the financial pieces. And I think what we talked about with safety, I think what we talked about with you and some of the refreshes of other buildings that are not within the scope of the 2024 bond, we will need to start talking about, is that something that we want to put in as a recommendation into the next bond? And then we start ticking that receipt up. And then we'll start talking about what is our capacity. Because unfortunately, the way that things work and the way that the legislature has set things up, you can't just say, well, as a community, we want this, and we're prepared to spend $300 million, let's go, right? You're not going to have the capacity to sell that much bond. So we'll get you the actual number, and then that's where we make some tough choices in our recommendation to the board about, hey, here's what we have the capacity to do, here's how much we're estimating that's going to cost, and this is what we prioritize, and take that to the board for their final decision. But you're already thinking along the lines of, what needs to be done? What do we think are priorities? So again, I want to respect your time. You guys are amazing for coming out. Your service to this district and the community, not only your students, but future students. I know we all appreciate those people who put in the time to think about the existing buildings we have now. You will be those people for our future families. So thank you so much. And again, the conversation does not end, so please call us if you have any questions. And if y'all will leave those on the end of your table, we'll make sure that O'Connell Robertson gets those. And we'll see you at a game and at an activity and at a concert and all the things before our next meeting. Thanks, guys.